I thought I would share some things that have come to me just now that are related to what was just written, and also to share yesterday's little adventure along the coast here and going to area along the highway that had antique dealers, art galleries, and furniture makers, artists of different kinds, and or places selling their wares. And I noticed that there was a graveyard, so to speak, of automobiles on the mountainside. I wondered about that a little bit. It'd be fun to tour around there and see what kind of cars are just sitting out in the middle of the hills in that lot, I guess you'd call it. And so I met a woman who was in the town area of Rosarito, and her name was Rose. Sweet, lovely, good-natured person with bright eyes, very small. And they had the music boxes that a lot of people have here. They can play their, some of them can play the radio through, or they can play the internet through. So she had one of those too, and a young man was working with her, the very small furniture shop that they were actually working in the front of the shop and making furniture. And it was very nice to meet her. But what happened was I said hello, but they had very little English. And I didn't have anything really that came to me to talk to them on, except for the music, which they something I asked about, but they didn't know. So I left and I started to walk the direction I had been heading. And this little dog comes up behind me, woo, 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 woo. And I look back and go, what is it? What do you want? And he said, and it was like the dog said, stop, go back right now. And I looked at him like I looked at him, and that's what his inner thought, his appearance, his eyes and such were saying. He wasn't saying, I want to eat you up. He said, I want you better, stop. You're just being very nice, Hey, man, where are you going? So I turned around and I thought I'll go back because I had a feeling that I had reached the end of the section anyway, and there wasn't anything further for me to go to unless I wanted to go on another place, another level. So in that town. So I turned around and went to the shop, the furniture shop. And then we did have a conversation and exchanged contacts, and it was exactly the right thing to do. Yeah, that was lovely. And so on my way, then I started going back where I come from, because I had met a man at the beautiful art gallery, and I talked with him for quite a long time. And at the end, I kept going in and out of the store for whatever reasons. And there was a bunch of all kinds of things that are interconnected with everything that Val is doing, and also the new natural environment, Facebook NuSun Project, we'll call it. for, lack of 50 other terms we could say. And we sang New You, and that was a very good meet because he has a vehicle, and I think, hopefully, we were doing some driving in the area with him, which was one of the things I was looking for. And so it was perfect all the way around. I'm relating this partially because of the activity of the new guides, putting people in the path. And also it was just a representation of a spontaneous organization or orientation to that. And this man was the same age as me, and I guess I don't have anything directly to say except for where I'm staying, and this location has a very particular dynamic, I would say, with my own history and directness of positioning. I call it my global positioning. It's a point here. Remember that we referenced the points yesterday for a short bit, and there was something about not necessarily recognizing the physical point or the literal point of, but that the recognition is of some orientation, connection to, and to where we are. And it's good to find out why are our references so important for where we are. Why are we where we are? And so I was writing about that, to use your lifetime experiences, your lessons, your history, your social, cultural background and or present orientation and heritage, etc. And also observe the words and the language and the, not from a point of view of trying to see, well, what does this word mean, but of that character or nature of the letters that make up the word, the sound that makes up the word, let's say, and all of the other coordinations that happen, like the names that we go by. Not that those things are important themselves, but as they give us references, if you want to really take an observation of yourselves or each other or of our own being, let's say, our individualities, and also to really find out by going beyond that reference. But first you have to look at it. And also you want to take like a historical trip to, okay, let's say start from this lifetime, and what experiences or lessons and dynamic points of time did we experience, these things that kind of kicked us ahead or drew us backwards, because most of the time they will, and it's like, okay, I'm recreating something I've already done. That's certainly part of it. Or we're going back to see people that we've been with before, or be with them, or try and work something out with them, or with the culture, or the nationality and race and sex. And these these points of reference that we have been part of. And it's not to, find out, let's say you could also take this into the past lives. Now that would be, these are trips that I've taken some deep dives into myself. And I think that they're very helpful to have realized and recognized. Not that that means that now I want to go ahead and recreate, now that's, I'm relating this because here we are creating, in a sense, a nature trail, hiking trail, or a network of points. That is, one of the terms is missions here locally, because the Mexicans established the trail along the Pacific coast and on the peninsula and up through Mexico, of missions that are called the El Real Camino Real. Now that was partially for the religious expansion, of course, of Christianity and so forth, but really they were establishments for the survival of the people that would come there, and also to recognize that there was a station available and the reference point in space and time that they had arrived at. We all need these things when you're hiking, and you need what do you call them, Val? The points of landmarks. Yeah. And so you're identifying the landmarks in your history or in your present moment. The local place here, there is a mountain behind us. In the valley goes up, and we hike the trail up to the base of this mountain that's called Cerro Gordo. But there's a couple of other mountains here. El Corazon, which means, the Colonel is one of them. It's the biggest one that's most visible from the coast. The other one, though, doesn't seem to have a name particular, but I think it's called Cerro Gordo. And it is beautiful, golden mountain in my view. And I do know that gold is available to find up in, especially I think right pointed at this golden mountain. It almost has that color to it. And it's the huge landmark of, really, here is the port of the New Wave, Nuevo place. And by my looking up some of my reference points in the solar body, that is, I'm using my solar, is a form of astrology, I guess we'll say, astronomical points of reference, really. But not astronomical means like out in space. So the local points is more of a connection to that larger field. And here we are in Puerto Nueva at the place where we can access, we'll say, here, our reference points to the new wave, or with the new you, and the new wave on. It's certainly a station, and I think that's, for me, that's an exciting kind of thing. I love doing that. That's kind of my thing. And I'm not suggesting that other people should use this method as a reference point for themselves. I think that, yeah, my experience of going back and saying, well, I had this experience that led me to when I was young, that really got me going with the whole so-called spiritual travel. And that was I read a book called Mystic Masters, and they gave an exercise, and you just close your eyes and sing or something like that. Focus on the inside before you go to sleep, and request or ask for some experience to have, revision, dream, and or what have you for that night. And so I did this exercise twice. And the second night, I had a experience of taking care of horses in the fields, where there was a gulch, we'll say, or a river, a small river, and I was caretaking the horses with another young, brave Indian native person. And I remember riding the hills with the horses and like that. I went, well, okay, you know. So that told me, well, you have past lives, and you have um, numerous related experiences of some kind. In this case, being part of the natives of America, and the history of something that happened there. And I didn't really identify what that was for about another 20 years. We have all this available to us. Most of the time, we're paying so much attention, let's say locally, to our personal activities that we don't pull ourselves away from them enough to allow for these visions and operations to be made available. And so that was what I did. First step on that exploration. That's good. So yeah, and just kind of give some examples of using our solar awareness, I like to call it, which is you have a solar body and a physical body. And when we're orientated totally with our physical identifications, we are maybe having them available within our solar body, but most of the time, most people, I would say, not. Nonetheless, that doesn't matter too much, except for just saying that, as an example, the man I met at the art gallery, I said that I think that our meeting was, not accidental, and you've been put in my path, and it's not necessarily for me, although he may be helpful, which is great. Nonetheless, he, I think, was recognizing, because he's amongst a group of people that are looking for a place that they can live, or something that's better than how they're living. Many of them are homeless or live in their vans or cars, or they're don't have their own place that they can say they're safe at, in the sense of they won't have to move at some point, or and so forth. In other words, they're transient. And that's true of everybody here. Got that. So the I guess I'm just gonna like click this part off right here, and I'm noticing in this chat line that happiness and chemicals, how to unlock. It's caught my attention. See, so now I'm in something else, which is fine because that's kind of a cool looking thing, and we get inquisitive. So the idea is, yes, you should write on some of your inquisitiveness to find out what it is. Many people want a one-word answer for it, and then they say, okay, and then they just, they don't even pay attention anymore. Okay, now I heard that. Now I know that. And they don't get the wholeness of their position, the universal position of why they're identifying with something. And then take that in as a wholeness with we'll call our solar being, our light body, or whatever we call that, because there's level 1, level 2, and then I think there's the real. That's all of it. So again, I'm being very literal and specific in some ways here. Not to identify that as the modus operandi, and just think that it's good to open up and say, well, why am I doing this? Why do I want to do something like build a trail or meet people, and or find out what's going on with our local, our human situations, and the conditions with the .gov and the .biz and all that, and also the universal, or we'll say the alien thing, because and say why we don't or do understand or have revelation, we'll call it, about it. Well, I'm asking for some of that from when we're here on the Skypes. I would like to hear a lot more in that sense, but with a relation that would be identified by ourselves. That's why, or that's, here it is for me or us, and give it that wholeness if you can, and if not, it's fine. Share it anyway in some form, because it helps release us from, which is, I think, really a very important thing. Just want to, not have any more of the stigmata.